Yo, so it's John Crestani here. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the it's a 17-step copywriting format that, I mean, you use this and it will blow people's minds. And this is the same copywriting format that all major movies follow and all that jazz. So just a quick side note before I get into the presentation. So you won't be able to view, only students of mine get to view the slides and the actual full presentation, but I'm going to go over about half the steps here with you YouTubers. And yeah, let me know what you think. Give me your feedback on copywriting. Also in the comments, make sure you what are your copywriting influences? What are the things that you use to learn how to become a better copywriter and write better ads that sell? We're the modern day salespeople, marketers. So write down kind of what your influences are, and also, if you guys are interested in engaging more with kind of the content we go over, make sure to subscribe somewhere on this page or in the description. There should be a link. And also like my Facebook page. I post a lot of fun stuff on my Facebook page, and I keep everybody in the loop. So yeah, so I'm about to get into it. Let me see if I can screen share it actually. Okay, cool. So this is the simple, I call this the simple works every time 17-step story format that not only gets people to buy your product, but also gets them sharing your story with their friends. And it works especially well on those skeptical, doubtful people who never click on ads or buy anything online. So a little, I also known as this little known 17-step story format. That is the basis. This is the basis for multi-billion-dollar franchises, and the biggest and best stories of all time are based on this copywriting formula I'm about to go over. So seriously, if you want to learn how to do marketing, this is how you do it. You have to know how to tell a good story. Just like if you are a salesperson where you work on the telephone or person to person, you need to know how to interact with people. You need to know how to tell good stories. You need to know how to relate to people. And stories are the most human way of relating to people and ultimately getting people to buy from you. So if you want to be an affiliate marketer, copywriting is the most important thing for you to know. I consider it the #1 skill for you to know to really be effective in selling things online. Because if you don't know how to sell, if you don't know how to market, you're not going to get anything out there. So this is the quintessential skill. And I've gone over a lot of, elsewhere in the course, I've gone over a lot of other tactics and techniques that I use for copywriting, and more specifically in the ads, but this gives you the overall template, the overall top to bottom way of understanding how to do copywriting. So understand this, and that's the best starting point you can possibly have. So let's go into it. So this is the ultimate story, and this is based off of the book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. So this is Joseph Campbell's book. I edit all my books. I take vigorous notes, but if you guys can see that, Joseph Campbell's A Hero with 1,000 Faces, and it's called the monomyth, or also known as the hero's journey. And every hero's journey, from Luke Skywalker to Neo in the Matrix to Frodo in Lord of the Rings, goes through a particular journey. So now what you're looking at on the screen is the top half is considered the normal world. And then the bottom half is considered the supernatural world. And the supernatural world is the world where the magic happens. So the normal world is where you're sitting on your couch watching TV, whereas the supernatural world is where you're in the club interacting with women trying to find a mate. Or the normal world might be considered the day-to-day world of, let's say, your wife and kids. The supernatural world is where you actually make the money. Maybe that's the workplace, or the big deal that's closing, whatever. So this is the overall arch of the entire story. And what people go from is they go from the normal world, and they basically have a call to action, whether that's a call to pursue a new interest such as business or a new music or something like that. And most people refuse the call in the beginning, but somehow they become convinced that this is the path for them. And that initial refusal is important, but then when people really embrace, let's say you're looking into going into a new business, like becoming an affiliate marketer. I'm sure when you first heard about, making money online, there was some skepticism and like, does this really work? And how can clicks make money and stuff like that? Who even clicks on ads? Stuff like that. Whereas there was some sort of thing that took you over the edge and said, whoa, this is real. And when you started diving down the rabbit hole, like Alice in Wonderland, you start really getting into the magic and learning the skills and the techniques and all, meeting more people and finding people making tons of money, going to conferences, etc. And that's the supernatural world right here, called initiation. And then there's always a return. So after you make all your money, after you do, all the things that make you successful, there's a return to the normal world. There's a return to taking those riches back to your wife, or taking that beautiful maiden off of Troy and back to your Greek island of Sparta, where you live in happiness, whatever that is. But there's always, this is the path. This is the path of all major stories. So I'm going to get into it and break things down step by step, so and ultimately how this relates to affiliate marketing is you've got to realize that stories are the basis of your ads. When you are putting people through an ad and an advertorial, or an article, or when you are showing people, when you are writing a blog, like a blog post or a review blog or an advertorial or a flog or a farticle or whatever you're doing on your landing pages, you're telling stories, you're creating stories. Maybe it's with before and after pictures, maybe it's with graphs, maybe it's with brain scan charts showing people how much smarter they'll get if they take this pill that you're selling. Or maybe it's a story of somebody that's actually just your avatar in your blog. You're showing the story of somebody who, how they came across this product, how they were skeptical at first, how they used it, how they changed their life forever, and how they were able to take that and turn that into real gains in their normal life, with their new skinnier body, or with their more beautiful skin, or with their better dating abilities, or whatever that is that you're promoting. There's a way to tell a story to get people to buy. So understanding how to tell stories that get people to buy is the most important thing you can ever do to be a real marketer and as a business person in general. So let's get into it. So step one in this story format is the call to adventure. The call to adventure is, as Freud has said, blunders are not the merest chance. They are the result of suppressed desires and conflicts. When somebody clicks on your ad, when a cute girl looks their way, it's, people, it might be a chance, but it is actually a suppressed desire. When you look at somebody driving down the street in a new Bentley, and you notice that Bentley for a little more than a millisecond, and you kind of make eye contact with the Bentley and you're looking at it, that is the result of a suppressed desire and an internal conflict. And what it really symbolizes is that you're interested in this adventure. So when Luke Skywalker was, what is it? Here's a great example. The frog. The frog asks for a kiss. The frog that's actually a prince. When the frog asks for a kiss, that frog is, as a prince, is represented as a suppressed desire, that the princess really wants to have a prince in her life. And that frog is a manifestation in these fairy tales of a suppressed desire for that woman to have her own prince. The message from Obi-Wan Kenobi, if you remember Star Wars, in episode 4, when Luke is on Tatooine and he gets this weird message from R2-D2. What happens is that, the R2-D2 droid displays a message from Obi-Wan, and Luke's like, oh, whoa, some weird Jedi, he's talking about like being a Jedi, and they need help, or this message needs to be delivered to the princess. And Luke brushes it off, and he says, oh my God, that's what that message is it's a result of a suppressed desire. That's where the story begins. If you guys remember, or the White Rabbit in the Matrix, or a better example is Tyler Durden. Have you watched Fight Club? Have you watched Fight Club? Amazing movie. I definitely recommend you check it out. But in Fight Club, Tyler Durden is Brad Pitt, and he's sitting next to Edward Norton. He's a soap seller on an airplane. And Edward Norton is like an insurance salesperson, and he is bored with life. He hates his job. He has insomnia. He's living a mediocre life in a mediocre condo in a mediocre town, and he hates it. And Tyler Durden is the representation of everything he wants to be. He's better looking than him. He has a better body than him. He does more fun stuff. He lives life on his own terms. He has crazy sex with women. He is naturally brings people together. He is everything that Edward Norton isn't. He is the complete opposite to that mediocre life. And Edward Norton sees him on the airplane and talks to him. But if you've seen the movie, spoiler alert, I'm going to give away the movie, is Tyler Durden doesn't even exist. Tyler Durden is a manifestation of a suppressed desire and conflict within Edward Norton. Just like for many people, having their own online business is a suppressed desire. It's a conflict within people too. Or just like having a skinnier body or a better looking skin or whatever, it's the result of a suppressed desire or conflict within them. So the call to adventure in terms of affiliate marketing, it is actually when somebody sees an ad and reads the headline. That's the call to adventure. That's when they click on the ad and they say, is there really a way to be skinnier? Is there really a way to make money online? Is there really a way to have a cheaper mortgage? Whatever you're selling, that's it. That's the call to adventure. Now, step 2 in the ultimate storytelling formula is the refusal of the call. Whenever somebody comes across something new, like Luke Skywalker, when he came across the message from Obi-Wan, he said, let's throw him out. He's broken. If you remember that, he said, this this droid, he's buggy, we should just toss him in the trash. Or, you know, when Edward Norton was in Fight Club, he said, you know, I don't know about, hanging out with you. I don't want to, you know, he doesn't want to commit to hanging out with, you know, Brad Pitt. He thinks, he's weird, he's crazy, you know, like interesting characters. He's like, oh, that's an interesting character I just met. He called him a single serving friend because he thought he was only going to see him once. But the refusal of the call after this is where the story really begins. For instance, here's a good quote. If one is oneself's own God, then God himself, the will of God, the power to destroy one's own egocentric system, becomes a monster. Ultimately, the refusal of the call, ultimately the refusal to believe you can get skinnier, or you can have better looking skin, or that you can have as many women as you want, or that you can have your own online business. Ultimately, that is your own ego. That is you believing you are your own God. That is you that is you not having higher beliefs for yourself. And what that does is it becomes a monster, ruining people. And if you can show people how, you know, and in these stories, you ultimately show, let's say you're saying you can't get better, you know, somebody says you're selling a skincare product, you show, you can have in the editorial or the advertorial, you can say, I was skeptical at first and I didn't believe it until I didn't believe it, and I just kept doing what I thought I should do, which is just drinking lots of water and using the same old skin creams that the stores prescribe. But I never embraced this new skincare miracle that, you know, whatever you're selling is. So ultimately, and keep in mind, this story system is actually embedded in our brains. All of us have ego. For lots of people, let's just say starting a business, lots of people don't believe they can start a business because it's their own ego. It's their way of believing their own God. Now, the next step in the hero's journey, going back to this, notice we're here, supernatural aid. Once the hero has committed to the quest, once the hero has committed to the quest, consciously or unconsciously, his or her guide and magical helper appears or becomes known. So there's always a step where there's, supernatural aid comes. Morgan Freeman is, in the Shawshank Redemption, is a perfect example of a supernatural aid that came to kind of lead a way. In a sense, maybe maybe if you guys look at me as a teacher, as a mentor, maybe even I am that aid to help you get where you want. I'm not the ultimate thing, but I'm just an aid. I'm pointing the direction. This is where you go. This is where you go. Teachers are typically aids in that thing. So here's a good quote from the book. Such a figure represents a benign, protecting power of destiny. The fantasy is a reassurance, a promise that the peace of paradise, which was first known in the mother's womb, is not to be lost. Now, this story format is the story format that is in every single religious text throughout history, from Hinduism to Buddhism to Christianity to Moses to Jesus to everything. This is the story of Siddhartha. This is the story of Jesus. This is the ultimate story that all religious texts, all mythological texts come from. But it's the reason why all these mythological texts, these religions, etc., are based around a story that's in this format, is because it is the most human story in existence. It is it's the story of the reluctant hero. It is the story of the person who didn't believe he could, but then he did. That's the ultimate story in human history. Shakespeare, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Fight Club, all of these All of these great stories in human history are based on this exact format that Joseph Campbell has nailed down. And Joseph Campbell wrote his book in around 1910, and but he is a mythologist, so he analyzes all of the great stories of all time. So it's very interesting, and even Beowulf and all that stuff. So let's go back to this. So ultimately, everybody's, what people want to do, if you want to go really deep into like psychoanalysis and stuff, basically people want to know the piece of paradise in their mother's womb. When you are first born, you are innocent. When you're in the mother's womb, you are safe. You're in a cocoon. And ultimately, what everybody wants to do is be back in that cocoon, whether that means creating that cohesive family unit and house where you're safe. Or maybe that's creating that circle of friends and that a circle of wealth that keeps, that allows you to do whatever you want without ever having to worry. Whatever that piece of paradise is, people want to regain it, and the supernatural aid helps that show them that this is possible. Now, not infrequently, the supernatural helper is masculine in form. In fairy lore, it is like a little fellow of the wood, a wizard, a hermit. Gandalf in Lord of the Rings is the supernatural aid. A hermit, a shepherd, a smith, who appears to supply the amulets or the advice or whatever that the hero will require. So in Fight Club, the supernatural aid also happens to be the father figure, which is Tyler Durden. But in Star Wars, which is a better example, the supernatural aid is Obi-Wan Kenobi in the first episode, and it's Yoda in, I think, the second and third episode. So the supernatural Obi-Wan, he doesn't do anything for the person. Just like you, just like you as a student, I'm not actually doing the campaigns for you. I couldn't do the if I did affiliate campaigns for you, it would be a disservice to you and to your own journey, and you would never be fulfilled. You would never complete your own journey if you relied on that. Whereas Obi-Wan Kenobi shows him the way. He fends off Darth Vader for a second to give Luke that extra time. He appears to Luke and in pivotal points throughout Star Wars to show him the way. Morpheus in The Matrix appears to Neo at particular times. He gives him the options, do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? Do you want to go back to ignorance? Or do you want to embrace this journey and go into the supernatural world? Now, that's actually waylaying into the next section, step 4 of the hero's journey, which is the crossing of the first threshold. So just like Obi-Wan showed Luke the way, just like Morpheus showed Neo the way, just like Gandalf appeared to Frodo and showed him the way, Morpheus, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide if you are going to move forward. It's up to you to decide, are you ready to take that step? Are you ready to cross into the next world? Are you ready to get out of the normal world? And in the same way those characters appear, I may be appearing to you on YouTube or something where I'm, giving you the option of saying, hey, are you ready to be an affiliate marketer? Are you ready to have your own business? Well, here's a way. Do this and this and this. So throughout all stories, there's always a threshold where you have to make a decision in your advertorials or in your stories that you're showing to people on what you would call it, in your ads. You're giving people an option. Are you ready to actually lose weight? Are you ready to actually get more beautiful skin? And that threshold is usually by purchasing a product. That threshold, or it may be clicking. to view the next part of the story or to view the sales page. So that's the crossing of the first threshold, and it's ultimately, it takes a leap of faith. Moby Dick, the story of or Jonah and the whale. Jonah gets eaten by the whale. That's the ultimate story of the crossing of the first threshold. Jonah went from the natural world into the supernatural world. I hope that makes sense. Now, the usual person is more than content. He is even proud to remain within the indicated bounds of society. And popular belief gives him every reason to fear so much as the first step into the unexplored. The reason why most people are, living mediocre lives, or why most people aren't successful, or why most people aren't living out their dream, is because the usual person is content to stay within the bounds of society. You see those, live within, people live within the box. People live within their cubicle. People live within their apartment complex. People live within, those bounds, their college desk. People live within the boundary of society because it's so easy. Why leave your little village? Why leave the village boundary when you can stay within your own town and be safe? You have everybody in your town, you know them by name. You know everybody in your family by name. And it's scary because if you leave your town, if you leave your neighborhood, you're exposing yourself to new people. Some people may take advantage of you. Some people may cheat you. Some people may, there's so much fear. There may be trolls, and in fairy tales and fairy myths, in mythology, basically that's why there are trolls and there are monsters. And if you leave the village boundary, shit gets scary. Frodo didn't want to leave his little village boundary. He had never ventured out of his village before, and it was scary. And there's so much fear, and there's, most people believe they have more to lose by going outside their village boundary. But if you're becoming, if you're going into business for yourself, you are leaving the village boundary. You're going into the unknown, and you're going into a scary place. And ultimately, but that's the part of the hero's journey. If you stay within your safe little cocoon, if you get scared of having, finding mentors and exposing yourself to unknown people and people or whatever, substance, whatever that is, then you're never going to ultimately find, and defeat your own outer or inner demons. So let me get to the next slide. So YouTubers, that actually, so that concludes, let me stop the screen sharing. So that concludes that's just the first 4 steps of the hero's journey. The hero's journey is insane. The hero's journey is absolutely insane. If you understand this copywriting format, if you understand how to tell stories in the same way that Lord of the Rings does, Star Wars does, Fight Club does, The Matrix does, the story of the Bible, the story of Siddhartha, the story of, Hinduism and Shiva and Krishna, then you are going, Beowulf, the King Arthur and the Round Table, all of these stories have the same freaking format, front, right, and center. If you understand how to do that, if you understand how to tell stories, you are going to get so many people to buy from your funnel, from your sites, from your advertorials, from your vlogs, from your farticles, whatever you're using to sell. You're going to just destroy, and you're going to make a lot of money. And one of the things, my most successful students, all of my most successful students are using, they write their own articles, they write their own advertorials, they write their own ads, and they use this same format. And they incorporate elements of it. And as I said, you can get to become an expert at this, and it's game over. You can sell whatever you want. And having that power, it's magic. It's a magical power to be able to wield, words, and to be able to wield stories so that at any time for any product you want to sell. You can do it, and you can manifest. You can basically manifest money in a sense. You can put words on a page. You can write some words on a WordPress blog, and money will occur, because if people read those stories, they are going to buy. That's a power. That's a serious power. So I always tell people, learn this stuff. The rest of this video, I am going to, I'm going to go through the rest of this video, and maybe I'll do a little clip for other people. But if you guys want more videos like this, subscribe to this channel. There's a subscribe link somewhere around here. And like my page on Facebook, share this shit. I look at people who share my stuff, and I see who does it. I'm very in the loop with all my people and all the people in my tribe. And yeah, and if you're an affiliate marketer, also apply to my affiliate network. As you guys know, I run an affiliate network. It does very well, and it gives me the safety net. This is, out of this business, this is, my passion is education, but my affiliate network is my way of consistently being tied to you, so that you guys, if you guys are selling products, I'm vested in your success. That's why I'm teaching people. That's why I can be so gung-ho about it, because your success is my success. So thanks for being on my channel. Subscribe, like my page, share my stuff, and keep in touch.